Hey, we're so excited about today's topic. We are early.
Yes, exactly. We are ready and can't wait to talk about, ironically, social media, which we are on, and talking about the pitfalls of social media. So obviously, you might be seeing this on YouTube or Facebook or any other, platform out there. And a lot of us have multiple platforms out there. Some of them share the same pictures and ideas and things through many of them. So this kind of applies to everything, your personal and other people's, to be honest,
Yeah.
platforms. But we want to kind of give you some words of caution.
Yes.
We're not trying to say, we're not trying to dictate your lives.
Yeah.
But
you can do anything you want. There's just possible consequences, and we want you to be aware of those possible consequences before you decide you're going to do what you want to do. So, and this is true of social media in general. Like, I've got a few words I'd like to share with many of you, but I'm not your mom, so I won't. I've already shared them with my children. But as your realtor, we have to warn you that there are things that can come back to limit your experience in buying and selling, possibly even end up, in a very serious repercussion situation, specifically if you're a seller. So obviously we have disclosure laws in the state of Illinois. We are for them. We follow them. We're always going to encourage a seller to disclose any issue that is a real problem, or of course, the better thing is to get it taken care of. But we have heard from colleagues who've experienced something that doesn't rise to that level, and has unfortunately gotten some sellers in trouble.
So sometimes people go to social media to vent, right? And if things don't seem to be going right, it's a natural place to kind of let it out. And in this instance, for sellers, so we're going to focus on sellers first. There are instances where people have posted, complaints about their home over and over. And others kind of identify it, see it, and sometimes it's on their own personal, sometimes they go to bigger platforms, right? Like neighborhood sites or moms groups or whatever. And you complain and you blame whomever, builders or the city
previous
or
owners
township,
or the city
or
owner. Your HOA. Complaints about the HOA are rampant.
Yes.
And then a lot of these are things that haven't been investigated, and the person who isn't an expert on the subject is maybe using words or diagnosing something that later turns out not to be what they said it was. Mold comes to mind. Mold is a really broad term. There's mold everywhere around us at various levels, and there's mold just in the environment. However, there's also specific types of mold that, when they're found in your house in certain places, can be hazardous. And so just calling something mold can be a trigger to other people who aren't experts, and who make assumptions based on that. So if you say, we found mold in our whatever, and then you go to sell your house a couple of months later, that may have been determined to be just perfectly fine environmental mold that exists everywhere. And you didn't post that follow-up, or other people didn't see it. It's kind of like when the news prints a retraction on page 17 to say that their headline from last week was completely false.
Yes, exactly. Headlines. Nobody goes back to find out the truth. They just, something gets in their brain and that's it. So we do want to, because I don't know, I did want to start with, I'm not one of these, honestly, but I know a lot of people who pride themselves on being super sleuths, right, on social media. And they'll go, to the ends of the earth to find their friend's new boyfriend, or look into that skeevy person down the street that they're questioning or whatever. And that is how some people go into this buying and selling process. You might think that things are sacred or just shared with your friends, but friends have friends.
Yeah. And your friend's friend might be the person who's got their eye on your house when you're selling it. And so you don't realize that you're speaking directly to the buyer. So when you're getting your house ready for sale and you're talking about, should I do this or that? It seems like a great way to crowdsource those things, but we have to caution you, you don't know who you're talking to, and the decision that you make could actually affect your sale. So just keep those, especially, we know the answers to those questions. We know what buyers are looking for. And the real buyers, they don't know what they're looking for. So it takes a while during the process. If they're not actually in the process of buying a house, they think that they want, they'd be fine with changing out the carpeting. But in reality, there's a house down the street that they don't need to do that for, and that's what they're going to buy. So we know far more about what buyers want, working with a couple of dozen during the year than your social media audience does. So we've had colleagues whose clients have gotten into some sticky situations based on what they posted and then what they actually did and what the perception was on that on the other side of that. Exactly. And then on the other side, buyers, sellers have an emotional connection to their house. And this is, by the way, these are not things that we would advise our sellers to do, but things happen. And one thing is, we say when you walk in to view a property, you're auditioning. The likelihood that we're being watched and listened to right now is pretty high. So You don't want to walk in and go, oh, well, we can tear that out. Oh my, that couch is hideous. That's not going to win you that house when you put an offer in. We no longer allow buyers to write letters to the sellers because there's too much danger of them exposing themselves and sellers getting exposed to fair housing violations. But if sellers are on Facebook and just happen to look up who might possibly be buying their house, as Danielle said, we're not telling you what to do, but the public is going to, draw their own conclusions. So if you are going to be very vocal politically or about something going on in your community or complaining about, your HOA, and then that seller happens to be on the board.
Or really about a lot of problems, if you're having relationship problems or whatever, people might think, oh, are they going to break up? Are they going to, this might not get.
Are we going to get under contract with these people? And she's just been complaining about how her boyfriend didn't come home, and their relationship might be on the rocks. Absolutely.
Or job issues, complaining, oh, I'm going to quit this place. Really, you have to think longer term for it. And it might be, 99% of what people do, nobody's going to care about. You show them the money, it should be, you show the seller the money and you can come to terms together and everybody's happy, and that's fine. But in these competitive markets,
we would love it if all transactions were only transactional and there was only business involved. But we do have humans, and we've had a conversation a few times about how when somebody gets emotional about something, let's say political, and they say something really mean about somebody, who disagrees with them, that person on the other side of the transaction might be someone who feels that way, and they might take that very personally, and they might feel insulted. So we'd love to be able to remove all of that from the process, but if you're posting about it, it's a lot harder for us to do. So I think the words of Gary Vaynerchuk from years ago, which I have shared with my children, if you wouldn't be comfortable seeing your words on a billboard while you're driving a car with your mother in the passenger seat, you should not be putting it on social media. So if you're in the buying and selling process, you need to really protect yourself from all of these possible pitfalls. The other thing a buyer might do is post about what they're looking for, and they might be posting about, their budget. Or they might put deal breakers that later become not deal breakers, and they really, really want a house, but that seller saw that they posted that they didn't, want the specific thing that seller has. And again, they feel like, well, maybe this isn't the most solid offer I can take. So that's not a good idea either.
Absolutely.
And
Oh,
also,
and also,
go ahead.
I would say if you're a seller and you go under contract, or even a buyer and go under contract with a house, be very wary of what you actually put out there. Don't put prices. Don't put
anything. Don't put anything.
Don't put the address. We're excited about this house, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, we think we found it, but really, like, there are many's the slip twixt cup and lip, right? Don't think that you've got it and you can let everything out there. We know people who have had family members go and snatch a house out from under them when they found out that they were under contract or working on getting there. They were negotiating. We've had friends who think that they're making a deal with friends and it doesn't work out, and that can ruin a lot of relationships. So there's other houses. There's not necessarily other friends and family.
Correct. So in the end, this is nothing new, right? Social media should be, in a sense, a bit more guarded. I personally think, but not everybody does. But this is just a way of recognizing that, maybe you just have to take a couple steps back and think for another moment when using social media in this day and age, in a process that is complicated and can have so many ups and downs, that we really want to try to prevent any more unnecessary drama or pitfalls.
And if you wouldn't say something specifically to a buyer or seller of your house, don't put it on social media, because chances are it's going to get to them.
Yeah. So that's it. So we will see you next Friday.
See ya.
Keeping it real. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.